It's season 6. It's
Hey.
Hey,
6.
we need a J HUD intro.
Yes, I know. We need a nice little Soul Train line. I want a little
Start by saying air here. Couldn't even think.
I know. I'm like,
I was like, y'all
trying to
can't think of a
find
little song.
Oh,
No, dang.
Mm-mm.
Go ahead.
That's
Go ahead.
Mufasa. I'm just kidding.
Y'all, we were just singing before this. Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa.
Hey,
With the dance and everything.
smooth with it. Well, welcome to season 6. We're kicking things off with a powerful reminder this season, at which we will be doing each episode, of just making sure that we continue to ingrain our DNA just as friends, as sisters, but also just as a tribe, and just through Christ and through what we're passionate about. And for this episode, the reminder this episode is that God is intentional. So we're going to talk about intentional planning, embracing transitions, finding clarity when the future feels uncertain, but all with the DNA that God is in the center of all of it, and it's intention, and He's intentional. So without further ado, I'm so excited to get into this season. I feel like we as a team are just on the ball with topics and ideas, and we've heard from you all with what we want to start incorporating into episodes. And I'm really excited to kick this one off with the top of the year and planning. And it's not necessarily just goal setting, but just all kinds of deep stuff, just as we're in our 30s and as we continue to evolve. So without further ado, hello, nice to meet you. If you are a loyal tribe member, what's good? What's up? We ready to get into it. I'm stable.
Y'all, I'm great.
Hey y'all, Crystal.
And I'm Kayla.
Hmm.
No, I'm so excited about this God is theme that we have, because I think 30s, beautiful decade so far, but also realizing I need the Lord and everything. So I'm so excited for the topics, like you said, stable, and just centering them under like who God is and what He does for us, what we should be doing for Him, how we should be moving with the Spirit. So I'm excited for this.
Talking about intentionality, because we're very intentional with building this podcast, and God really helped us through. So shout out to Him. But we're in a new year, y'all. We're in 2025, and some crazy stuff's been going on in the world right now. We ain't even gonna get started on that. But
I could.
how do you guys feel about life right now? Your paths, goal setting? Where are y'all at right now with all these things?
Still planning. Just to keep it 100, y'all. Still planning. And we're like, what, 7 days in? But it's all good.
Yep. We're 7 days in. No, I feel you, CP. I feel like life 2025 just came really fast. And it's not that it's a bad thing, but it was like I wasn't ready. And I still don't feel ready. I do feel like it's going to be a good year, but I don't feel like I have plans set. Yikes.
I'm looking at my vision board right now on the couch because I still have like pictures I need to cut out and put on there. Like I got the pictures on paper, printed it out, everything, but I got to cut them out, put them on the board. But I feel like this year did come fast too. It just, I don't know. I think the last month, like December, just went by way, way, way too fast. But then it's also like, you don't need to have all your goals together in
Right.
January. You know what I mean? Like we know a little bit of the direction we want to go. Sometimes we just need help or like time to get it together. And I think that's fine. I try not to feel like too rushed about it just because it's past January 1st or whatever.
I'm struggling with planning and goals, and I think I'm literally just less is more. So I'm 25 weeks pregnant at this point, and yeah, and so I'm entering the 3rd trimester soon. So I'm not even gonna try to act like I know what to do and how things are gonna be, and that's a weird spot to be in, right? Because we always talk about having realistic expectations, but what happens when you don't even know what to expect from yourself? Like I'm in such a focus mode right now for like my mind, my body, and my body that it's like, yeah, I would love to sit here and have these goals like I do every year, but also I know like literally my goal is to be as healthy as I can right now, right? And that can mean so many different things. And so I think like my word, if we're doing like word of the year type thing, like it's just embrace. It's embrace, and it's just be in this new identity and not really having crazy expectations, because then that's what it already adds to the inevitable things that might, come. So, I have my goals. I have the things like professionally and personally that I want to feel. I don't want to care too much more about what other people think this year and things like that. But then immediately I get right back into just like mom and baby mode. So it's just different for me right now.
I love that you said word for the year because that's one thing I do know. My word for the year is love. And I actually talked to Sable about this. Like we were sending voice notes the other day, but I just think in this theme of God is, I've been thinking about how do I bring God into this year more. And I read this book and it was just like you are at your highest self, at your highest potential, your highest everything. You make the best moves, the best judgments, or judgments and all that stuff when you're doing out of love. And so it's just like, okay, how can I just go to that when I'm feeling down, when work, it's just killing me. Like I'm just tired when I get home, or I'm getting annoyed with people or different things like that. Like, what does it mean to operate out of love in this moment? And that doesn't always mean being nice or like not being a self advocate, as we talked about in our last episode, but just honoring that. And sometimes I'm like, that's enough too. I don't need 35 goals. I do need God. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. I also have a word of the year. Grace, do you have one?
I think I just came up with one, and I don't know if it's the wine or if like I genuinely feel this, but I think my word is elevate, because everything that God has done, it's like He's stepped up everything for me. Like new city, really good job, nice apartment. Next is like a nice car, because I ain't got no car. A great,
Big deal.
beautiful, nice man. Like it's
Amen.
everything that's been elevated. So I think that might be my word.
Something
Yeah.
been
Love
elevated.
this.
Yeah.
Yes. Elevate, elevate, elevate.
Cheers.
What's yours, Crystal?
I've been stewing on this for quite some time. I was actually talking to a friend about like I need a word that describes like having to do stuff even though you don't feel like doing it, but you know you need to do it so you could be ahead of. I don't know. I was just like, I just feel like procrastination has been something that has been a Achilles heel for me. Like I think I do my best work under pressure, but why am I doing that to myself? And so I think for me, my word of the year is being proactive. So if it comes to thought or if it comes to mind, instead of just waiting on it or sitting on it, I need to just do it. Because for some reason, I know when I think about it and I don't do it, something happens later on that tells me like you should have did this in the first place. So for me, proactivity, being proactive, and especially with what's been going on at work and just transition wise, I think just me being proactive and on top of that would serve me well in the long run. So proactivity, proactive, getting on top of it. Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, y'all. So we talked about our word of the year. And as we think about 2025, I know I just said I don't have no goals, but if we could come up with one or two goals for 2025 based on our like words, what would you all like say it is? I would say for me, just answering emails or just being proactive in communication. That would be probably my biggest thing. I do that already, but I think with all the things that's coming through the pipeline, transition, boss is gone, not that she got fired, but it's just like she's gone. And so having to fill into space, like just being proactive on like what is being asked of me and stepping up and showing up when needed. So being proactive and just making sure that the job gets done and nothing's left unread. That'd probably be like my main goal. There's probably more that can come out of that because I want to be proactive in other areas of my life. But right now it's just making sure that communication is a free flowing and information is being presented to people.
That's a good one.
That's good, especially as a leader. I know it's hard, but it's like as a leader, you always gotta be the one holding it together for everyone else. So, whew.
And you don't want to be the one holding things back from everyone else either.
Right.
Like that's tough. And sometimes CP, I don't know if you feel this way, but I was literally thinking about this yesterday of just I want to be better at responding to emails, but not feeling like it has to be a perfect response.
Right.
And like
Mhm.
sometimes people are just looking for a yes or no, or like, yep, this looks good. It doesn't have to be like I'm sitting at my desk and like everything is perfect. Or sometimes it's just like, hey, acknowledging that I've seen this and I'll get back to you by the end of the week. Let's talk. Just I just want to be better at getting out of my head with that. So I relate.
And that's real. Something else I'm also like dealing with, which not only just responding, is like, again, what less information could also be more helpful than giving more context than needed. And so again, being proactive, but also thinking ahead of like everybody needs to know what's going on, but like what information should you be sharing that keeps the, boat moving, but also everybody feels like they're in a good place. It's really hard as a balance and a dance. So just being proactive, but also just having a good, is it called discernment of like what needs to be shared and
Yeah.
what.
Yep.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I can relate to that too, CP, because just starting this new job, the way that they do things here is very different from what I'm used to. And they're very like, it's very like information based, but only certain things need to be shared. So me learning to have discernment versus wanting to share like all the details, like being overly detailed versus learning like what someone needs to know, and how to share that, how to condense it, because we're dealing with a lot of different things, a lot of different types of information and people, so it's important for that. So I feel
Yeah.
that.
Wow. What about y'all? I said mine. What's y'all goals based on word? Listen, I want to hear.
I mean, I think for me, it's like love is my word, but operating at my highest self. So I think in some aspects, it's like doing things that I love. So like cooking more. Like I want to try a new dish and dessert every month that like scares me a little bit, that like
Hmm.
pushes me out of my comfort zone in the kitchen. I want to take like different cooking classes and stuff throughout the year, at least in off season. And then I just want to like explore Miami, golfing, take up golfing a little bit more because I really got into that last year.
Ooh.
But I think too, like the last thing I would say is pushing myself and building my confidence. Like there's so many things I want to work on and do this year that I'm not feeling 100% confident on. So I'm like, is that operating at my highest self? No, it's not. So sis, boss up. Like deal with it, move through it. Like this will come up later as we talk, but like I don't wanna have this feeling of fear because that's like your lowest vibration is fear. So
Mhm.
Mm.
I think just trying to just pour love into everything I do, and then even the things that scare me is really important for me this year.
Wow.
But I say that as like I'm like my heart is like beating even thinking
I
about
was,
that.
no, but that's a good thing. I'm glad that you recognize the operating in fear and knowing that that's something that you're just going to work through. You got it. I've seen you
Mhm.
tackle bigger mountains before.
Thanks, sis. I'm out here
Eh?
trying.
Yeah, I think for me, it's embracing a lot of different things, embracing the unknown, right? But also embracing this whole new freaking magical journey that's amazing and that is so beautiful, even from a spiritual standpoint. And I think I've already started to do that of just embracing the kicks, embracing like all these new feelings and like the things that you hear about, but you'll never fully understand until you feel it. But even the low things, and one of our values is vulnerability. Like I had a really rough past 2 days. Today has been a much better day, but sleep is really hard right now, right? And so it's just one of those things where embracing that, but also embracing my tribe and community and just leaning in and embracing like, yeah, I'm just not operating at my best self right now. And there's nothing that I can do about it, or I'm doing my best. So just the good thing, embracing the good things, embracing the things that I can't control. But Kayla, to your point, I think there's been times where I've like really just feared, like, am I gonna be able to continue my career like in motherhood? And what about my ambition? And like all of us are very ambitious people, and now it just feels different. So just embracing that instead of being scared of it. I don't want to get too specifics because again, I don't know, and part of that is like very intentional, just letting myself be and be present in the journey. So I don't know. I just embracing help, embracing support, embracing myself, my emotions, like making sure that I remember that my feelings are valid because no one can really like fully understand unless they've gone through it too. So just embracing that.
A question I have for y'all, especially since we're 7 days into the new year, and at the end of the year, life could look a whole lot different for us. I mean, we've seen it through our episodes, but when we think about like these goals that we have, like how do you all I don't know, how do y'all keep the main thing, especially when life is like changing? So Sable, you're about to enter this new chapter of like mommyhood, and like again, you don't know what that looks like. Grace, you just started a new job. Me and Kayla, we're probably going to be transitioning to like new responsibilities or being called up to do stuff. Like, how do y'all, I guess, not get disappointed if the goals, I don't know, don't reach for the month? So, like, Kayla, you want to cook and try a new dish, but like, what if something happens and that gets pushed to February? Like, how do y'all keep the main thing, and stay focused?
Ooh.
No, like listening to you say that instantly popped in my head. Perfection is a lie. Like
Ooh.
it's just like I have it on my vision board for a reason because your girl needs to hear that often because I feel like that too, which is why I don't make New Year's like resolutions. I just make goals that might extend off of goals from a previous year or whatever. But it's just like, what is my main thing? Like, my main thing is to operate out of love. My main thing, like for StartHERfive, like we want to put out a certain amount of episodes or do certain things. Like, it doesn't really matter how you get there or the process. Like, you're gonna learn everything throughout the process. So now at my big age, I'm like, girl, like it's probably not going to be perfect, but can you learn along the way? Can you celebrate when I do cook the dish or, just figure out new ways to just not get to try it or like just not get mad at myself if it doesn't go exactly how I thought it would go.
And I think just remembering that having faith, like we do have our own goals and our own desires, but at the end of the day, I believe that like God's plan is bigger, and I believe he finds our goals very hilarious because
Yeah.
he's just like, yeah, no, you thought you was gonna get that Mercedes, okay?
That's cute.
That's a nice
Not this year.
vision board you got.
Nice. I might get you a
That's what I
Toyota
have.
Camry, but
Nah, he got you a
like
Hellcat.
Girl, not a Hellcat.
I hope he look,
Sorry.
Lord, I want an Audi so bad. But it's just like just knowing, I think deep down that at the end of the day, like God's plan is greater. So if things don't work out, it's honestly because he aligned it that way. I also find that most of the time when things don't work out, at least in my life, it's usually because I did not consult him first. I said, oh, yeah, so this year I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I didn't say, I just told God what I'm going to do. And he's just like, okay, honey, all right. Just like your mom patting you when you're 3, telling her, like, I'm going to do this. Then she's like, yeah. So I think for me, I've learned to, whenever I do make goals, to always keep in the forefront, like, God, if it's your will, like, can I have this Audi? If it's your will, like,
Yes, ma'am. Speak it.
What?
can I please, if it's meant for me to be in love, like, please let it be. Bring that person to be ready for this
Please,
person.
please, please,
Please.
please.
So for me, I would say like that keeps me on track is just the faith piece and just keeping him first through everything, no matter what.
Mm.
Yeah. I love that, Grace. As you're talking, I'm thinking about just a different spin. Like I agree with what's been shared. I think the other side of the coin of it sometimes is because we can be so hard on ourselves. We're so
Mhm.
focused on did we perfectly hit our goal for the month or for the quarter or for the year that we forget to give ourselves credit for the things that we did do,
Mm.
right? And so
Mhm.
one thing that it's not specifically related, like directly related, Crystal, to your question, but I think it can tie in here is like for me, if if I have a goal of a project or a workshop, or like I have a client or I have a big event coming up, let's just say that's the goal. I'm so focused on that big picture outcome, and I procrastinate, or I get in my head, or I freeze with all of the other little things that I need to do leading up to it. And so I'm so focused on the goal that I forget to like break it down and like trust
Oh,
and have faith that I'm going to get to the goal if I just do step A, B, C, and D, and like you'll be good. And so for me, I'm trying to focus on, my therapist told me this, chunking, which is, instead of putting pressure on myself to finish something or to get this done in 2 hours, it's like, okay, today I took 10 minutes and I put together a soft outline. Tomorrow I'm going to build on the first half and it took me 10 minutes. 2 days later, I'm working 15 to 20 minutes here. And then at the end of the week, I've just spent 3 to 4 hours on this project, but it didn't even feel like it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to work on that, and then I think working on that will help me be more satisfied with the end goal or what I'm trying to achieve.
As you were talking, Sable, it kind of reminds me of our overall theme, the 1% better. And I think this is something that, I don't know, Kayla, I feel like you introduced this, but like the quarters goals, for some reason that has been very helpful in terms of like, if I have a goal, finding something to do each quarter to get to that point
Yeah.
kind of helps me like accomplish that goal. Cause even if I don't do it this week or next week, if as long as I'm doing something, at the end of the day, like the journey will be the best process. And then once I get to the goal, it's like, oh, well, at least I got to do all these other things, and then the goal was still accomplished. So even as you talked about the chunking Sable, I was sitting here writing and I'm like, bro, we do that in our quarters, in our goal meetings as a podcast. Like, and so how do we incorporate that into, I guess, my daily life?
Right. It's a really good point.
Yeah. And I think too, like this year, I was writing out some of my goals and like, I don't need to accomplish all of them by January or February. Like, I'm gonna accomplish this goal by December, and this one by April, and this
Right.
one by quarter 3 or quarter 4. Like, you know what I
intention.
mean? And I literally wrote out my goals like personal, physical, professional, and then I went through and did it by quarter. Because I'm gonna stress myself out if I go through all 20 goals and feel like I gotta start them January 1st. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not realistic. Like, I'm gonna start that goal in quarter 3 and keep it moving. So, what about when, as we think about like different like transitions in life, and we're ready for like the next move or the next goal, but you're not really sure what the future is holding, like bringing it back to God too, like how do y'all trust God in those moments when I know say we kind of talked about like just embrace, which I think is so powerful. But is there anything else that y'all have done or have seen that's very helpful when it's like, dang, I know I want something. I know something is on the other side of this. I just don't know what it is. So like I can't even think of a goal because what's up? Like God, like what is it?
So I went to church on Sunday, and I feel like sometimes God has a funny way of like hearing the conversations you have and bringing it to the pastor so he can speak it to you. And so something he talked about was like overstaying your visit. And so like, what does that look like in terms of like staying longer than what you're expected to? And Kayla, you talked about like operating in fear. And so he was talking about how like a lot of times we're stuck not accomplishing the goals because we're operating in fear, or like looking in the past of like what didn't work as opposed to like what could possibly work for us, and then just being very comfortable where we are, like, hey, I'm not doing bad but I'm not doing good, but like it's lukewarm, I like it. And so I think when it comes to like uncertainties, like I'm trying to be better at being more in the word. And so they talked about like finding God's truths and how that shows up in your life. So again, when we have uncertainty, like if God knows that he's going to see me through it, he's gonna see me through it. Like, I don't know what that tangible thing looks like, but if he says that in the Bible, like, I have plans for you, I guess I just have to sit back, kind of what you said, Grace, and like just
Listen.
just listen and just watch him work, I guess, in some ways.
Mhm.
I went to church. This was a long time ago, and for some reason, do you all have those sermons with like that you'll just never forget? Like it just hits you in a way that it sticks inside of you. Like, this specific sermon, I remember the pastor saying, "Get ready on the way." Like, even if you don't know what the end goal is or where you're going or what specifically that looks like we hear stay ready so you don't have to get ready, but get ready on the way. So just as you're going along your path, like you're picking things up, you're continuing to stay focused, you're working as hard as you can, and you have that faith. You know, you can't just sit back and be like, oh, like you know, like some of our old school ancestors, like, oh, God's got it. It's like, no, you got to put in the work too. You know, yeah. So so like faith in the book, like faith without works is dead, but just like trusting that he sees you and that you're getting ready on the way to wherever you are. And like honestly, I think this is being a football coach's wife, like there's always this
Wife. Sorry, keep
there's
going.
there's always this cloud, right, of like anything can happen. I mean, college athletics in general is just it's a definitely in a space right now, but like coaching, anything could happen. And you know, we love where we're at, but like, you know, there's just this constant cloud of like unknown, and there's a blessing on the other side, but still that unknown is like, what do we do? I don't want to plan too much ahead for this. And what about buying a house? Like there's so many things. Like if my goal is buying a house, but I'm not really sure where we're going to be, like that makes it really, really hard. But the only thing and the only option I feel like I have is to have faith, because if not, it's anxiety, it's fear, it's frustration, it's tension, it's stress. So like I'm gonna choose the faith part, you know? So yeah, I'll put a period on that.
That that just reminded me of my time at my previous job. I'm just saying because we all family here, but when I was working
Also,
Blur.
LinkedIn.
But when I was at my previous institution, South Carolina, Clemson, I was just in this space of like, okay, I really like my job, but I'm trying to figure out what's next. Like, what's next in my career? Like, what is it going to be? And I'll never forget sitting in my bed crying. And I was just like, okay, Kayla, because I was in therapy heavy at that time. And my therapist was like, it's okay to cry, which I never thought it was. But here we are. You got to let it out, tribe. You got to let it out. But I remember crying and being like, God, like, I don't know what's next, but I feel something coming. What is it? Like, what is it? And then I was like, you know what? I'm putting this out into your hands, Lord. But at the end of the day, like, if I don't work, nothing's going to happen. And I remember calling Sable and her then boyfriend, I think he was at the time, not her husband, of course. But I remember calling them. They were in the car together. And I was like, y'all know what? I feel like I'm gonna have a new job. I'm gonna go on this trip this summer, come back and have a new job. And they were like, okay, Kate, like, okay, cool. And I just remember crying and then going on LinkedIn and just like posting like stuff that I was doing in my career, like reaching out to people. I wasn't even reaching out to anyone in particular at a specific like job or anything like that. I was just, who can I network with? Who can I talk to? Who can I like glean information from? And literally like 2 months later, I get a call from my current job asking if I wanted to like work there. I was like, what? I'm looking up at God, like, so that's all it took. Like, I cried, I let it out. I had no idea what steps were next, and I just trusted the process. Like, I had so much trust in God in that moment. I will never forget like that feeling of like being helpless for a second, being like, no, God's got it. But I know I need to turn that into other areas of my life too. It's just, it can be really hard sometimes.
So as we think about being practical and how we can move forward, being intentional, if we know it, if we don't know it, if it's simplifying it, if it's breaking it down quarterly, let's just talk about some practical ways that we can just set forth and be able to trust and have faith in God's timing and make sure that we're being intentional with breaking things down. I can admit that there have been times where I'm like, oh, I don't have goals. I don't really believe in goals. And I just like, I do more of reflection and look at what I've achieved. But I also now appreciate goals, and I'm able to, because I trust myself to be able to achieve them too. So just want to just start getting like practical and just specific steps that we think that would be helpful for the tribe to know as we get in face 2025.
I think you have to write it out, like, or talk it out. Something where you can see it. Because I think a lot of times goals don't get met because people put these outlandish goals out there, but then they don't have the steps on how they're going to get there. So if I say, for instance, I want to save $10,000. Have I ever saved $10,000 in my life? No, I haven't. So that's already an outlandish goal. And so, like, what are you going to do to accomplish that? Am I going to save money each month? Am I going to stop eating now? Am I, you know, just like, am I going to find a second income? Like, you got to write these things out, because if I don't do that, is it really a goal? Or am I just saying it just to say it because it sounds good at the moment? And so I think for our tribe to make it more practical, because we did kind of talk all over the place, but I think back to those quarterly, like, find something that works for you. And let's say you don't have to do 5 goals. Maybe you just do one that's current right now. Like, I want to be healthier. Or again, going back to finances, like just taking that and writing as many steps as possible as how you're going to accomplish that.
I'm with you, CP. I think talking it out, writing it out, I would say pray it out too.
Yeah.
Pray over them goals, friend. Because at the end of the day, I feel like I said, our plan is great, but his plan is greater. So, like, if it's his will for those goals to come into fruition, like, he's going to lead the steps. So, just making sure, like, you're consulting God in everything that you do. And I feel like that's when stuff starts aligning. That's when you start to see things. And I think when goals don't happen the way that they want us to, I think that's God's way of kind of sitting us down and telling us, like, hey, let me show you what I need you to see. So I would say that.
What's real?
I think I'm a visual person, so I love a vision board. But I think that goes along with Crystal's thing of do what works for you. But I think telling a trusted source, a trusted person, a best friend, your mom, your dad, someone, like, you could tell God all day long, of course, as you should. But I think telling someone that can kind of hold you accountable in some ways too.
Yeah, for sure. Lastly, I think we touched on most of the things. The one I want to leave us with is balancing ambition. We need to have ambition towards our goals, but I think, Kayla, you mentioned it before, like, we don't need to get our 2025 goals done by February, right? So, like, balancing our ambition, balancing also taking time to reflect and rest, because if we don't rest, if we don't have that time, then we won't have the energy to pursue a goal. So
Also, okay, Crystal just
Crazy. I'm sorry. Isn't that wild?
Okay.
I was like,
That
no,
is
familiar.
wild.
No, I knew that looked so familiar, y'all.
Girl, and that's okay, try. Okay, try. Okay. So when we started this call off, I was like, do y'all know how to say this chapter in the Bible? Because I want to share, like, I didn't tell them, but I was like, I want to share this verse from this chapter, and it's on my vision board. And Crystal just texted us on the side and said, oh my gosh, I wrote down that verse in 2024. So we're gonna share it.
Please, shout out to
Okay.
LaDaisha, because she's the reason why I have this verse.
Okay, so don't judge me, y'all. We're still growing in our faith, but I think it's Habakkuk Habakkuk 2:2, verse 2 through 3. But it said, then the Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay.
wow,
That's it.
that's God. That's it.
That is God. And it was
That
actually
is
bookmarked
God.
in my journal. So that's how I know it was bookmarked.
Wow.
Like, that's
Wow.
crazy.
And the fact you found it, like, as we were talking about.
Yeah, that was good. That was perfect. Look, divine order.
Yes, write it down, make it plain, so a herald may run with it.
Letters.
Come
Hold
on.
it.
All right, y'all. So, man, we took you on a road, on a journey with this episode. But it feels real. Like, I'm so, excited for 2025. And I remember all the words that we shared: embrace, love, elevate, being proactive. Like, those are all things that we are praying over, and whatever words that you all are coming up with as well, like, we're excited to pray over those as well with you. So make sure to shout it out on social media. We're going to give you an opportunity to share with us and on our upcoming tribe calls, but definitely take moments to journal, talk to people, pray on it, write it out, make it plain, as God says in the book. So thanks for starting season 6 with us. Here's to a year of intentional growth, trust, and divine alignment. Because as Grace said, we're going to God for everything.
Everything.
Until next time, tribe, take care and keep trusting the journey. Bye. Bye.
Love y'all.
Yo, 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 it's your girl Grace bringing you our favorite segment of the podcast. It's the hustle for me. And during this segment, we love to bring you resources, tips, tricks, and things that we love to use within our lives that we feel like, one, are catered to the message that we brought on the podcast, and two, we love to share the tea. We don't gaslight here, so we want to share resources that we think will be beneficial for you to use in your everyday life. So for this episode, we talked a lot about knowing goals for the year, about being okay with not knowing what's going on and trying to find our way and our path in this year of 2025. So here are 3 different resources I want to share with you guys that I think would be beneficial and that you guys can use every day to help you be 1% greater. 1, I have a book for you. It is from Alyssa Joy Bethy, and it is called When Doing It All Is Doing You, Meeting God in Your Unmet Expectations. You can buy this from Amazon Prime, also through audiobooks through Amazon. And so we love our Amazon, we love our Prime. So this would be really beneficial for you guys to read. Second, we have 2 different resources from you from Bible.com. So here are 2 different Bible plans that you can use and choose from that can help you find your way and your path as you're navigating and planning for the future and just planning for life in general in this new year. So first, it's a God-honoring approach to planning. That's one Bible reading plan that you can join. And then second is planning for the future. So 3 different resources, 3 different things to try. I love the Bible app and love the Bible plans, and they're super easy to follow. So I think that would be beneficial for you all. But we love to share. We love to share the tea. If you have any other resources that you think would be beneficial, please tag us. Let us know on Insta, LinkedIn, and all of our podcast channels. We love you. Thank you. Bye-bye.